Sorry. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. We should have taken it off. I didn't really. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna get some. No, we're doing a live feed. So just awesome. You're awesome. I'll go. Probably gravitate. I mean, we might like gravitate over towards where I'm making sure. So we like put my notes in the car. I think the team worked. I think we're good. Here, you want to, here,
Our program will begin in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. The women's restroom is on this side, the men's on this side. Before we get started, we'd like to ask everybody to put your phones in silent mode. We'll have 7 speakers, and there will be time for open commentary as well. We'll start in 1 minute. Welcome, friends and family, to the memorial of Patrick Kosta. Thank you for silencing your phones. I wrote bunch of stuff down, but it's such small font, and I've gone completely blind in my old age. I'll just be reading from my notes, but probably not. Okay. As we look around the room here today at everybody who's come to celebrate and honor Patrick's life, they say that somebody's worth their life, everything they've done, is showed in the love of the people who show up, their friends and family. Unfortunately, none of them were able to be here today, so I thank you all for coming. And, it's only been a few weeks since we heard the news, and I think I speak for a lot of the coaches here in town. It's hard to believe that LeBron went with the 76ers instead of going to Miami. All right, I'm trying here, This is the gymnasium where it all started for Patrick Cardinal Newman. He was a student, he was a coach, he was a camp director, he was a referee. In addition to coach, Patrick had many different names. I think we can relate with a few of these. Most commonly, he went by his initials, PK. He was also known as son, brother, Navin Johnson, uncle, idiot, the jerk, suspect, defendant, teacher, Woody, friend, and father. Today we're going to share stories of Patrick. You're going to hear things that you didn't know about him. You're going to hear some things that you did know about him. We will laugh. We will cry. PK was always the first to call me or text me when somebody passed away. It could have been a friend or a celebrity, and we would just hit it off right away. Just tell jokes and just be so funny right away. The hashtag too soon was never too soon, so Patrick would expect right now that this becomes kind of a celebrity roast for him in some regards. So I hope you all share and have a good time, have some laughs, and we're going to get going with the program here. My name, a couple program changes here because the family's so tight. They got his birth date wrong in the program here, so thanks for that, Donna. And I've been friends with Patrick for 35 years, and my name is actually Pat Townsley, not Pat Townsend, so I thank you for the tight bond we share with the family there. Townsley, if you have a pen, go ahead and make those corrections. 1967 and Townsley. All right, how'd we meet? Me? Why am I up here? He was the Sonoma County PK. I was the Marin County PT. We had so many common friends, and people go like, how do you not know PT, PK? You guys are identical, mirrored images shared by a border of the Sonoma Marin line. And I was running a nightclub in San Rafael called New George's. Anybody know New George's nightclub? Thank you very much. All right, so I was the manager there, and some of our friends are like, you guys have got to get together. And I'm sure that Patrick was hearing the same things. You gotta meet PT. You guys are two sides of the same coin. So when we met, finally, mutual friends brought us together, and we were out in front of the street, and we just looked at each other. There was this electric magnetism. And we high-fived without saying a word. It was the loudest shot heard across the world since Kennedy's assassination. So that's how we met. And from that point on, all of our lives were changed because of the impact that we had in that nightclub, the friends that we knew, and the legendary stuff we did. The following 35 years was a liquor-blistered roller coaster of chaos. We shared many friends, so many road trips, family gatherings, work colleagues, bar buddies, confidants, ruthless comedians, back and forth banter, so quick, so fast. It was legendary. We would bring the house down wherever we went together. It was, you thought Pat was funny. The two of us together was just putting diesel and gas and TNT on a fire. So we just had that electric bond together, and hence the family asked me to be up here to kind of share that energy. I hope I can rise to that occasion here today. Not a day goes by since Patrick's passing that I don't see something or want to text him or call him. We, through all these years, still continue to talk, and I have a restaurant in San Anselmo now for the last couple of years, and he would come by and going up to Tom's house, he'd come by and we would hang out every 2 weeks. In those 35 years, I've known the 3 women that he loved throughout the course of his life, and they were amazing people and made his life better. He might have made theirs more miserable, but it's a wonderful time to have them here. I'm just going to rattle off a few things here about Patrick's electric energy, some of the stuff we did together. It was endless trips: Reno, Vegas, Tahoe, lots of Tahoe. We would leave New Georgia's at 3 a.m. and we would get there by, it's about 2.5 hours from Marin to South Lake. I mean, 140 miles an hour in my Mustang. And we would get up there and we would go to the bar at the Goalpost, and all the car dealers would get off and we would have a great time. Endless trips to Tahoe. And I love driving with Patrick, mostly because it gave me time to sober up. We never went to sleep. We would pass out. We would never wake up. We would come to. We would be up on the floor in the morning just going, oh my God, what happened? We would be putting our lives in the previous day back together, and what we called the Rubik's life of trying to figure out what we did the night before and the damage and debris trail. It was an amazing time, and we had so much fun together. They made a movie about us. You might have seen the movie The Hangover. You can figure out who was played by Bradley Cooper. Patrick loved his family. He loved each of their accomplishments, even liked some of the wine. He was so very proud of his children. His children are here today. I'd like to ask them to rise. Charlie and Julia Kosta. Therein lies the great tragedy, and this is that they had been forming more of a bond in their adult years, and the relationship that you could have had with your father moving forward as adults is a tragic loss. Today you're going to hear some amazing stories about your father. There's a lot of good times and some more good times and a lot of comedy. Your father brought laughter to everybody he knew. I think that was his life's mission, to make people laugh. And sometimes he did it in such a way it left a debris trail like Flight 800. Other times people would just go, oh my God, we need more. It was an addictive drug being around him and wanting more and more laughter. All right, a couple other people I'd like to introduce before we get on to our 7 speakers, and then we will have open time for people to share your memories. First off, Mr. Tom Kosta, Patrick's father. Donna Rogers, mother, Patrick, Dan, and Michael. Thank you for being here today. No parent should ever have to say goodbye to their child. Brothers, my brothers, where are you? Michael Kosta, where are you? Dan Kosta. Jordan Kosta. We've been in this family text loop the last couple of weeks, sharing memories, trying to get through this, trying to put some levity behind this whole tragedy of a man who has left us far too early. I'm not sure what year he was born, but we'll get back to that. I think he was 58. Okay. All right, who else do we have? A couple of ladies in the room. Jill, it's been my honor to know you over the years. We go back, I think Pat and Jill met in Tahoe, in one of our Tahoe trips. And the two of them traveled around. They moved to Beaumont, Texas, if you remember when Patrick lived in Beaumont. And I actually mailed them a cake one time, put it in the mail, slow ground mail, and it got there in a plastic bag about 4 weeks later. Sorry about that. Also, Susan. Say hi, Susan. Susan will be doing some comments today, too, and we've had some wonderful times. The common thread here, Pat met Jill in Tahoe, and Susan in Reno. So there's the, I can tell you, there you have it. All right, who else do we have here? So many other friends that we have in common. Sean Harris, Jim Beal, Rob Reese, John O'Donnell, Blake Haas. I don't know if you know any of these people, but I don't know if they're all here, but we had some really great times together. If you were a friend of PK, we'll invite you to come up and talk, introduce yourself after our speeches. The coaches, if you're here, if you're still alive, Steve Azevedo, where are you? There he is, Coach Azevedo. I don't suppose Tokay Tommy is here, is he? No? Just checking. I don't believe Coach Trumbo is with us anymore, but Coach Trumbo was the head coach where Pat was a coach down at Monterey Bay. And he was also, I believe, the godparents to Juicy, as we used to call them, to Charlie and Julia Rose. We had the baptism down there, and I don't think that helped Patrick keep his job, but we miss Coach Trumbo also. Coach Mark Martin, where are you? Mark Martin, you're going to come up and say some words. And then where's our other famous coach, ladies and gentlemen, Coach Tom Bonfigli. And we'll hear from him shortly. All right, want to get the blood moving a little bit, so I'm going to ask some people to stand up. If you were ever coached by Patrick Kosta, please rise. If you were ever coached by Patrick Kosta, a common bond amongst all these guys, put your hands together. I hope you have some words to say about PK. Please stay standing. If you ever played ball, you didn't have to, if you ever played ball, basketball with PK, it was a pickup game, whatever it was, stand up, please rise, stay standing. If you were ever on this wackadoo baseball team we had up here called Look at Them Go, any of you remember that? Look at Them Go? We had Hawaiian shirts on, a barbecue pit and a keg, and everybody else was taking it really seriously, and they made us put numbers on our jerseys. They're like, you gotta have a number, so it's like .08, 151. That didn't last too long. Or our basketball team that we had in New Georgia is called the Wood Ticks. There's a shirt over there, please rise. Those were good times. We got banned from San Rafael also. All right, we're going to get the blood moving here. If you ever went to a bar or had a drink with Patrick Kosta, please stand. All right, that leaves a few other people, which means please stand if you're just here for the free bar after this event. Just kidding, there's no free bar. Take a look around. If you don't know the people standing next to you, say hi. Give them a hug, give them a shake. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make some noise. Put your hands together for Patrick Kosta, our friend, our brother, and my best friend ever. Thank you, be seated. Drinks later. One of our mutual friends, Kevin Landris, some of you guys know him as one of the big nightclub guy days back in the 80s. We have a mutual friendship, and Kevin and I keep in touch. He was the first person I called. He's the second line. I think I got 5 friends in my life who are my best friends, and now I got like, okay, he's gone. I guess we're at that age. So I called Kevin. I said, Kevin. He's like, who died? Because I like PK when it would just be quick banter. And Kevin sent me this text. He said, I remember his voice, a smile on his face. I can't do an impression of him, but I can clearly hear him. He portrayed not a care in the world. I think he lived life as we all should, on his schedule, on his terms. He didn't have a care or fancy. He was never fancy. He just burst into the room with something to say, and everybody had a good laugh. I think those are good words. I asked Kevin if he used ChatGPT to write that because they were kind of moved me. He said, no, I just chased some Xanax down with a shot of tequila and then wrote that. A few things that defined PK in my life and probably some of yours. The music of Sly and the Family Stone, Tower of Power, Louis Armstrong, Sinatra. He loved whaling songs also, crazy. We went to Nantucket and brought whaling songs back, and we would play those. Ragtime to rock and roll. He had an eclectic mix of music, but I think Tower of Power, who played at New Georgia so many times, was one of those bonds of ours that we were just like, wow, Tower of Power's playing. We're hanging out in the green room with them. And Ken, the Wolverine, the backstage manager, threw us out probably. Movies and movie quotes that kind of define our lives. The Jerk, Caddyshack, Airplane, and a movie called Let It Ride. Also put that in your notes for a movie called Let It Ride. You're going to want to watch that because it's a very defining moment for all of us. And also, you see at the front door, please sign the what do they call that, book journal? The registry. Please make a kind note there, or not. You just put something in there, please. I'm the guy who said, turn off my phone. Hang on. All right. So on that table it says Golden Gate Fields. When Golden Gate Fields closed down, Patrick went to the auction site and started buying all the memorabilia from the Golden Gate Fields because our mutual love of the horse racing. He was a handicapper. He loved the track. Golden Gate Fields, Belmont, Del Mar, Humboldt County Fair was one of his favorites. Juicy, do you remember when we went to Humboldt County Fair? He went on that thing, the Area 51. I think he was like 5 years old. That thing that spins around, the Gravitron there. My son's like trying to hold him up, and they both passed out. It was hilarious. Good times. The Santa Rosa Fairgrounds, probably the smallest fairgrounds ever. Tom would put together every year a race in memory of PK, even when he was alive. It was called the PK Handicap. Anybody ever bet on that thing and lose? Just me. Okay. The California Derby in 1994. I had the only winning ticket at a 50-1 long shot on a horse named Screaming Dawn at the fair there, and we spent all that money at Spanger's right after that. The horse was named Screaming Dawn because my boss at New Georgia's, I said, we're going to the track. She's like, the hell you are, what do you think you're doing? So I was like, oh, there's a horse named Screaming Dawn. 50-1, it went off in 1984. And then there was another race, Belmont Stakes. Right here is the racing form that I built this shirt in 1994. This was the, I think it was the Belmont Stakes, and it was a horse named Lakeway versus Sardula. Those were the two horses. And Pat said, we got a race, we got a bet on the horse named Sardula. I'm like, wait, what, how come? He's like, because I want to hear the announcer at the end go, Sardula. So sure enough, that was an amazing race. We were at Golden Gate Fields watching it. Those two horses went around the clubhouse, turned Lakeway, Sardula, long way, all the way. They can't shine a flashlight between them, and it's Sardula by a desperate head. Hilarious. We keep talking about that still, right up until about 3 weeks ago. It was one of the greatest races of all times. The words of PK. Look at him go. You're the best. Hey, Woody. And shake him. I'm sure other people have other words, but I think you'll probably remember some of those and some of the pranks. I don't know if any of you were ever pranked by PK, and if there's time, I'll come back. I have a whole list of notes, but I'm not here to talk about me or that. We want to hear some stories from some other people, but if there is some extra time at the end, we're going to go till about 12:30, I think, today. So that's the expectation. Again, the restrooms are there for the ladies, men are over there. There's some water outside if we need it. The pranks were endless. Patrick loved joking. He loved his work. He loved his family. He loved his children. He loved his brothers. He would bring laughter to everybody, and that was his mission in life. All right. I'm going to stop talking now. Thank you very much. What I would like to do now is invite 7 different people up in different times. We're not all going to speak at once as I drop my paperwork all over the place here. First up on the microphone, you ready for this, brother? No, none of us are. Please welcome Michael Kosta.
So surreal, as I'm sure it is to most everyone here. I want
to start. Well, I want to thank some people here. Jordan and help organizing this. Even Parker worked a lot to do this. Ella and Jonathan made the flower arrangements. So I appreciate all the help and support that everyone has given. I want to start. I hate to bring it down a little bit, but there's so many questions that people have, and so I want to just get this out of the way and let people know what happened. We don't know, but we think that he had a heart attack. He was at my house the night before, had a great dinner. We had a good time, and he left at, I don't know, 11 o'clock or something like that. I went to check on my dad the next day and found him. But that's all we know. There was nothing else has come back, but just so everyone knows, that's all that we know at this point. And in that, I'd like to also thank, I had an fortunate person to call to really support me, which was the EMS Battalion Chief for Sonoma County, David Bynum, childhood friend, and he showed up right away. And it was a thank you. It was needed. It was your calmness and unfortunate job of having to see stuff like this all the time helped me a lot. So I already hear my brother in my head yelling to get a hook. This is a party. So we're going to move on from that. And Pat forgot my favorite nickname. When we were young, in high school, everyone was getting fake IDs. Some of you know where this is going. So, and you'd get caught. You know, you'd get a fake ID, and it would be a crappy fake ID, and you'd get caught. So me and Patrick figured out that, why are you getting a fake ID? Fake a birth certificate. Then you go down to the DMV and you get a real ID. And he did. And you can give it to a cop, and the cop would run it and go, yeah, this is Patrick Ewing. So, that was my favorite. And then another admission that the Golden Gate thing, he wasn't just my memorabilia. Up until a month ago, 2 months ago, walked into the back of my dad's house, and there was about 50 of those yellow mop buckets that he bought from Golden Gate Fields. These were $5 a piece, and he could put them online for 50 or something like that. So that was Patrick. My mom, once we got kind of past a little bit of the pain of it and the shock of it, you had asked jokingly, do you think he's going up or down? And weirdly enough, I actually thought about that. And I went, well, shit, he's definitely going up because they're going to kick his ass out of hell for making everyone laugh. So he's up. He definitely lived life on his own terms, and that is one of the things that we loved, and it was one of the things that annoyed the shit out of him a lot, me a lot, so many times. And I mean, I don't mean like once or twice. I mean, this happened all the time. He would call and ask me what I was doing. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. Well, I'm coming up. I'll make it there for dinner. Great. He's like, I'm gonna leave in a little bit and I'll be there. So I go to the store and I make a big dinner, planning on him coming and make sure my kids are there and make this big dinner. And he's a little late and I'm calling him and doesn't answer. Finally he answers and it's super loud. Where are you? I'm at the Peppermill. How the fuck did you get lost? This didn't happen once or twice. There was one time he was at Dan's house in Windsor and said, I'm leaving Dan's house right now. Can I stop by? 2 hours later, he was on his way through Sacramento. So that is just who he was, and gosh, I'm going to miss him a lot. We're all going to miss him. I'm especially going to miss if birthdays. I don't know about you guys, but it was the thing with Patrick. If you had a birthday, you're getting a pepper grinder or a steak knife from Outback Steakhouse that he stole. Every time. And I mean pepper grinders that are that tall. I have no idea how he's walking out and going, dinner's great. I don't know how he managed to do that, but that was the thing. And then keeping in the theme of Patrick and all that, we've got, by the way, there is a PA system out back. So when we end up here and we go outside and have food, there is going to be another PA system that we specifically bought to have out there. And in the spirit of Patrick, when this is done, we're going to return it to Target. He would not have wanted it any other way. So, but I want to thank everybody for coming. It's great to see you. There's some people that I've already run into. His core friends. I didn't like any of you. Bo Weir, we met because we were getting into a fist fight because I couldn't stand up. I mean, geez. Sean Harris, I'm sure we had our fights. That PT, yeah. When my brother was living with me, he thought it would be fun at 3 o'clock in the morning to call me every night and ask for Pat. This is when we have landlines. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, who is this? And he's just like, hey, Woody! I think the first things I said when I met PT, I think people were holding me back. I wanted to kill him. So, but love you, PT. That's it. I just thank you, everybody, for being here. And he was loved, and it's evident. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, the pepper grinders. I actually have 20 extra pepper grinders at the restaurant. I give them to him in advance. He had like a shrine in his house. You're not kidding. He would steal them, and they were everywhere. Pepper grinders. There you have it. Next up, I met Dan. I think I was invited over, and we were hand dipping Kosta Brown soft blanc at the time, doing the wax in your garage in a melting pot thing. That's where we first met. And as I was grabbing these ancient Jurassic Park speakers out of my storage unit yesterday, I knocked into a few cases of wine in our storage unit, and I just this memory came back, and I hope some people's memories get jogged today, and you're able to share some of these. I texted the boys this, but the brothers, but this is kind of funny. I just wanted to share it. For some reason, we had gone to the Fetzer winery together, and went to meet, oh, this is really great wine. We couldn't hold back from laughing. We're like, oh, there's this great wine from Fetzer winery. And we also had dinner reservations, because we knew some people at the French Laundry. So if you've ever gone to the French Laundry, it takes forever to get in. And the owner of the Fetzer winery, they're like, oh, we have this bottle of whatever. It's like $1.99. We wrap it in paper. It's like 1,000 degrees out. We drive across 2 counties and go to the French Laundry. And we're like, yes, we have a special bottle. We'd like you to decant for us. And, oh, yes, sir. The wine captain comes over. He opens it up. He's like, sir. And PK and I are going like, we are dying. And we finally get the psalm over, and he opens the bottle, and they decant it for us, and they put the bottle on the table. I mean, the most embarrassing moment for a 3-star Michelin restaurant. It's hilarious. So I had that memory yesterday. I just thought that was hilarious. Speaking of the wine industry, this guy's the captain of Sonoma County Wines. Please put your hands together for brother Dan Kosta.
Two tough acts to follow there. There's a theme, I think. I mean, it shows up in the pictures. It shows up with PT. And PT, my mom is how long have you been sober, Mom? 29 years. She can help you. can't help most of us, but maybe you. I really appreciate PT being here and bringing some levity. Didn't get much sleep last night just thinking about what to say today. What I really wanted to do was hear from you guys, especially the basketball guys. There's a Patrick. I was thinking about this dichotomy of Patrick. It's always the class clown, right? And that's not a bad term. Sometimes we use it as an off term, you know, because all he does is joke and it's exhausting sometimes. And we're going to miss it tremendously. But there's that other side of Patrick that was so thoughtful and so serious, especially when it comes to his kids, his family. And 1 minute, he's making these crazy jokes. By the way, it seems like these jokes are rehearsed because it's like they're too perfect. Where did you get these damn jokes? And he just pulls them out of thin air. But 2 minutes later, he can be looking you in the eyes, very thoughtfully listening to you, telling you that he loves you. You can get in a fight. The next day, you're hugging. And in fact, Patrick, like brothers too, Patrick and I have had our ups and downs, mostly ups. And I'm so thankful that even though he left us way too early, Patrick and I ended on a tremendous up. And I'll always remember that. Now, when we decided that we were going to do this event in the Cardinal Newman gym, I was scared. First of all, I went to Santa Rosa High. Second of all, I thought maybe lightning is going to strike this place with a group of people that's in here. But I want to thank Cardinal Newman for hosting this. Daryl Weiss, but thank you for being the point man on that. I want to thank Jordan for taking over with Daryl and getting this going, and Michael and Jordan did all of the heavy lifting for this. It's not easy to do. There's not a rehearsal book for this kind of stuff. And we just really appreciate everyone being here. There's only one person that's not here for that show-up guy. Vern Allen, we gave him that nickname, I think, about 10 or 12 years ago because we all were all neighbors, and Patrick would just show up for the weekend or show up for a party. Anyone raise their hand? Anyone know about that kind of stuff? Show up guy. So it was a term that we were kind of like poking fun at him. Like, hey, show up guy. Then it became just accepted, right? We're a show up guy. We know show up guy's going to be here. Then it became a real term of endearment because we wanted him to show up. And I wish he could show up one more time. This is why I didn't sleep last night. Because I'm kind of at a loss of anything else to say other than thank you all for being here. I love my brother too much. Like Michael said, this is very surreal. And I just want to listen to you all. I really appreciate Pat, PT Cruiser, for making this a fun event, making it be a thoughtful event, and making it be a really loving event. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate my family. Dad, Mom, I'm so sorry. But I love you guys. Michael, Jordan. Not Michael, Jordan. Jordan, Michael. I love you all, and I appreciate all of you, and I look forward to hearing Coach say some fun words about a side of my brother that maybe I didn't know. I'm really looking forward to that. So, love you all. Thank you.
Dan Kosta. Thank you, Dan. I'll do anything for a bottle of Pinot Noir. Our next speaker has stepped up. This is Mom. Please put your hands together for Donna Rogers.
I just want to really thank everybody who loved my son and is here to honor him. I can't even thank you enough. It's the support that we've gotten has been overwhelming. And everything everybody said, ditto. And I'm just going to leave you with one little thing that nobody said about Patrick, and that is
Thank you, Donna. I missed out on that one. About 32 years ago, Pat and I are at Harris. I don't know if we were down in the security office by that point. I'm like, oh my God, it's Mother's Day. You got to call your mom. Do you remember this? So it's like, you got to call your mom, dude. You got to call your mom. He's like, no, I don't know. The security camera. The security officers are coming to talk to us about what we did earlier in the day. Like, you got to call your mom. So he gets a, do you mind if I use your house phone? We're talking to the concierge and the security officer. And so he has a chat with Mom, and he's like, Mom, I'm in Tahoe, so I can't be there for you, but this next hand is for you. And that was a memorable moment some 32 years ago. Thank you, Donna. Thank you. Okay, who's up next on our little cavalcade of people here? Oh boy, here we go. Now we're going away from the family, but still family here. This guy, legendary. He's known as the Bomber, the Bonfire. He inspired us. We had a great time together. Tom, I can't. He's going to tell you some stories about basketball, about Patrick, that you probably don't know about. It's the opposite side of Patrick's comedic coin. He had a very serious side to him. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Coach Tom Bonfili. Microphone's right here. You're on. It's on. Get on it.
I want to welcome all of you. There's been a lot of laughing already, of course. When I think about Pat, it's been tough for me to sleep too. He and I were very close. I can't think about Pat without smiling. A lot of people have talked a lot about his sense of humor, his always having a good time, all the fun in his life. And I think that side of him is really captures only part of who Pat was. So I'm going to get a few stories. I'm going to try to keep it relatively short here, but I want to try to capture the spirit of who really was. And start by talking about the fact that in this gym is where Pat really started coaching. He came to me in 1986 as a senior, didn't have a lot of fundamentals, hadn't played a lot of organized ball, but he was a good learner, worked hard, he came to me, we talked. He really wanted to be in the basketball team. Had a lot of good kids coming back. We had 2 really good teams prior to that. It was kind of a year where a lot of kids had graduated in 86. And he really, really, really wanted to be in that team. And I did keep him in that team. And he had a remarkable attitude. He was the first person to practice. In my 42 years of coaching, seldom have I seen a player that loved basketball like he did. I know he loved his family. He talked about his family all the time when we talked about you two. He talked about you guys all the time. And what a good son he was to take care of his father and come up in the weekends. Talked about his brothers and mom, how much he loved his family. But what his other real love in life was basketball. And, he was really good at it. He was probably a lot better at it than a lot of people know. So I had a 40-year relationship. My nickname for him in the latter part of my career was Coach K. And we all know about Coach Chevy, the great coach from Duke. But I always referred to him as Coach K. When I would get an email or a phone call from 831 area code, it had to be 1 or 2 people. It had to be Pat. We're talking about, you'd send me your game films, I'd look at those, talk about his family, talk about basketball, talk about old times, talk about fun times, talk about things we don't talk a lot about around other people, but we had a lot of fun. But we stayed in touch for 40 years. That first year, at the end of the year, we have a dinner for our players. And it's a traditional thing we did. Coaches and players only. Each player gets up and talk about, their experience, what they liked, what they didn't like, talk to his teammates. One of my favorite things in my career. In my 42 years of coaching, over 2,500 kids, and I taught over 10,000 of my teaching credits retired. He gave one of the most illuminating soliloquies that I've heard in my lifetime. At the age of 17, talking about his experience playing for me at Cardinal Newman on a team that he hardly ever got in a game. Talking about how important it was to do it right. Talking about the drills. Talking about all the things he learned. Talking about what I consider to be the really valuable things. And he got all of them. I mean, he kind of wrote the book. He understood the philosophy, understood the program, understood what's important. And I looked at my brother Jerry, and we just kind of shook our heads. It was illuminating. It's the only word I could use to describe it. His insight for a 17-year-old was remarkable. And I think, we think of Pat as a jokester, a prankster, which he was, and kind of like a rebel, which he was. And, he had his way of doing things, and, he had a unique way of doing things. But you also got to keep in mind that he was really, really great with kids. That was his gift. I mean, after that first year, I had 2 great basketball camps here, younger and older. And I asked Pat, would you like to run my basketball camp? And he did. In the younger camp, he was the star of the camp. The kids loved him. They followed him around. They followed him in the bathroom. I mean, he was a celebrity. Those kids loved him. I knew from that point on, after that night, that he had the gift. And a lot of people that teach and coach don't have it. There's only a handful of people who really have the gift. And Coach Fitzgerald, this gym's named after Coach Fitzgerald, by the way. You're in his house. And I played for him. What a remarkable human being. Wisest person I've ever met. He used to talk to me about that gift. And the gift comes from up there. By the way, that's where he is. And the gift was the fact that he could communicate with kids. He could make them the best they could be. He loved them and he cared about them. And he could create a relationship in a season where by the end of the season they really loved him. And I mean love in the right sense of the word. And he was really remarkably good at it. People don't know how good he was at doing that. He coached with me as my freshman coach. Later that year, I made him my freshman coach. I saw the gift. I saw how good he could be. When I had him coaching JV, freshman, I had Frankie and James as varsity. We were second to none. We rang up 280 wins in 13 years. He had back-to-back freshman teams who were undefeated. We won at all 3 levels every year. I mean, he was a great coach to prepare my kids as freshmen to play for me. And a lot of times under coaches don't get the credit they deserve. And eventually, I left Cardinal Newman. He went on his own way over to El Molino, befriended Ned Averbuck, who was a great player in his own right, but a really wise basketball guy. Ned had a basketball academy. Sent me, among other people, Bobby Sharp, but Pat became really good friends with Ned, and Ned was a former teammate of the 59 national champions, played for the great Pignol of Coach McClintock, and Pat ended up down there assisting and eventually coaching at Cal State Monterey. And Pat and I stayed in touch, and I went and watched his teams play on 3 different occasions, and they were well schooled, they were disciplined, they played hard, they maximized their ability, like all of his teams did. And I told Pat, we talked after the games and stuff, that's what I thought. I said, Pat, it's really a good basketball team, done a great job. We had our adventures, he and I did, on the crazier side of the line. We had a lot of fun. We did a lot of crazy things. One story I remember about him, and I'll never forget this one. The last game he played for me as a senior that last year, that first year I had him, the end of the game, he never played very much. I went down to bench and I was going to put him in the 4th quarter. And I said, Pat, get in the game. And he said, Coach, I can't. And I go, Pat. He had his street clothes on underneath his one-ups. I've never seen that one in 42 years again. I said, okay then. So, getting back to seeing the gift, that wasn't part of the gift, but, I could see all the really good potential that he had as a coach. Talk about impersonation. PT already has been on the voice part of it. One of Pat's favorite things to do is as we got older, he would come he'd referee my summer league tournament down at St. Vincent down there. And he liked to come in. By the way, Pat can get into any gym that's ever been built. And everybody goes, where'd he get the key? Shit, he never had a key. He could get into any gym at any time, not just him, a whole bunch of guys. Maybe you're playing 4-on-4, how'd you guys get in here? Pat just smile, right? But as we got older, come out at our tournament, he's already in a gym shooting threes in my gym. I don't know, I got in there. So he goes down the locker room. One of his favorite things to do is go, hey, quiet. And all my players would stop and look. And then he had what Mom just did, that laugh, that sinister laugh, great laugh he is. And my kids later, they'd say who was that guy? I said, that's Coach Kane. He said, God, Coach, we thought it was you. and he loved that impersonation stuff. So does he over there against the wall. He pull that one on when I met him today. I've seen him 30 years. To conclude here, I want to pass on a really kind of significant thing from my heart about Pat. Not just as a coach, but as a person. I was fortunate enough to play for the greatest coach ever to coach around here, and that was Coach John Fitzgerald. The gym's named after him, rightfully so. And he's the wisest man that I ever knew. And I went into coaching and teaching 50 years ago. I just retired in June. And when I decided to start coaching, and I was 22 years old, I had a lot of other options. He sat down and told me, he said, look, and I'm quoting when I say this, he said, you have a gift to teach and coach. You can make a difference every day in the life of a child. You're doing God's work. It's a vocation, it's not a job. You were meant to be a teacher, you're meant to be a coach. Well, that was the same discussion Pat and I had before he started coaching. I saw the gift. And, I'll leave this last thought. Something I've always taught all my people I've taught. I've taught over 10,000 students. And all my players. And it's something I got to live by. Pass along to you. Pass it along to Pat. So many good memories and accomplishments over those years with Pat. So many wonderful things, memories. But I've always said the two most important things in your life are not things. The two most important things in your life, number one is relationships. You two. You always talked about you two. Dad, Mom, his family. Relationships with me, the guy against the wall. A lot of you guys sitting up there that he coached, all lives he touched. All of the mark and the difference he made in the life of so many people. Can't put that dollar sign on it if you don't have that much money. And relationships is number one. Number two is experiences. We can talk about the funny experiences we had with Pat. And my experiences with Pat, there's funny ones, but those are really important ones, those heartfelt ones. What I call the heart and soul. And, Coach K should be remembered for those. As I also say, the purpose of life is to live a life of purpose. And Pat definitely lived a life of purpose. And This last little thing that I want to say here is a testimony of Patrick's life. And I think he checks all the boxes in this one. This one's to his success. To your success, Patrick. This is what I think you need to be able to say at the end of your life. And he checks all the boxes. To laugh often and much. To win the respect of intelligent people. To win the affection of children. To leave the world a better place. To know one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. We can laugh and joke, but his life was a total success. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Monfili. Alcibet Melendez. Anyone? Saw this up at the front podium there. This, I can't believe this is still around. Michael Jordan signed this for Tom, and then somehow over the years it got transferred. So take a look at this. It says Tom, you're on fire, Michael Jordan. So this was signed by Michael Jordan, of course, was it not? And then it says the passing of the fire, signed by Michael Jordan for Tom Bonfili, 695. Given to Pat Townsley, spelled correctly, July 1995, and passed to Patrick Kosta, 1297. It took a few years for me to get rid of it or something, I'm not sure, so check that out, hilarious. Also, another funny story about Michael Jordan. PK and Jim Beal, we were all up at and my wife Laura, we were all up at the Edgewood Golf Course. We were staying at Harrah's. Laura and I were passed out in a liquor blistered bedroom somewhere. And Pat goes, "Oh, we got the golf cart, we got the." They went on the golf course, and Charles Barkley was on a hole or something. Was it Michael Jordan? And they took his golf cart. And they got to the gate, and Jim dropped the lanyards that kept people out, and he had the placard in the front there, and they drove it, and we drove that golf cart at the top of Heavenly. We picked up cocktail waitresses out of Harrah's. It was unbelievable. Thank God there were no cell phones back then. True story. All right, going to change it up. We got 3 more speakers, and then we'll open it up to anybody who would like to share some thoughts about Patrick, so that's your timeline. Next, we're going to change it up a little bit and bring one of 3 of Patrick's loves of his life. I got to know Susan very well over the last couple of years, and we shared some nice times and moments and pepper grinders. Please put your hands together for Susan Sequoia. Okay, with her trusty dog leading the way.
She calls Patrick Papa. PT, I have to make a correction. We didn't meet in Reno. We met at the Matrix in San Jose. I was driving down 101, and I had seen the Matrix for years, because every Monday I'd drive down 101, and I always said, I gotta go to the Matrix sometime. And this was a hot July night, and I thought, okay, tonight's the night. And so I almost didn't take the exit, like last minute, and no, I gotta go. Well, 2 hours before, it was sort of the same thing with Patrick, because it was the anniversary of Gino's, one year anniversary of Gino's death. And he was rallying together coaches to go to the Matrix where they had last been with Gino and eat the same meal and all that. And everybody was hot and tired. It was a San Jose camp that they had just finished. And at the last minute, he just rallied everybody together like he can,
And they went to the Matrix, had the same meal. A couple hours later, I show up, and I'm at a blackjack table playing, and it's a $10 table. And I'm like, oh, I need a $5 table. So I go over to another table, and I ask them, is this a $5 table? No, 10. And there sit Patrick and Todd. I don't think Todd's here today, is he? No, he's in Italy. He really wanted to be here. And the first words Patrick ever said to me, because I said, oh, I gotta find another table. He goes, stay. So I stayed, and I sat between the two of them. And we were together after that. And I love, like, Jill, you met him at a casino too. So awesome. You know where to find the girls. And Patrick always said that Gino brought us together. So as the years went on, road trips were always an adventure. One time we were out in the middle of nowhere, and he really knew how to run out of gas. I never knew somebody ran out of gas more than him. And he didn't seem to mind. But I didn't want to be with him when that happened. And we were in Northern California at the big redwoods area, and we were getting close to fumes. But he knew there was this little town called Honeydew, which was one store, one gas pump, and probably a population of 25. It was getting late. Okay, we're getting close to this gas pump, and we get there and it's closed. Okay. So there's a river nearby. We just went down and to the river. Instead of sleeping in the car, we just found firewood, like he's good at doing. He loves building fires. I don't know if you guys knew that. And we just built a fire down by the beach with the dogs and had a good night. And then in the morning, the gas pump was open and we went on. Another trip after a casino, we had had a little bit, and we knew we couldn't get on the highway. So we just made a left turn, drove around, looking for a spot to park, spend the night in the car. We both did that, saved money sometimes. And we happened upon this vacant house. And it was right on the beach, right above the beach. We checked it out, and I haven't told this story to many people, but after all these stories, I'm like, okay, I can tell this. We just parked in the driveway like we were supposed to be there, and we went around the back, beautiful deck. It was sunset time, and we just camped out on the deck. We did candles, we had the dogs, we had sleeping bags, and we just camped out on this deck. It was, you never knew what to expect with Kosta on trips. One time we flew to Reno in the winter, and it was coming back. He had an extra beer, because for the shuttle ride, it's nice to have a beer. And then he had this extra beer, and we knew he couldn't bring that on the plane. So he stashed it in some bushes, sort of out of ways from the airport. When we came back, summertime, flying in, it's like, oh, ready for a beer, but we have to wait for that shuttle. And then we remembered, oh, there's one stashed. Let's go see if it's still there. It was. And grabbed a beer, and we had a beer for the shuttle. Oh yeah, the first Warriors game I ever went to was with Patrick, and he said, stay on my hip. We were like up in the millionth row. Stay on my hip meant stay right here with me. And I did. And we wove down through the chairs, the stairs, and And we watched the whole game from the fourth row. It was great. He did know how to get into anywhere. Back doors, we were in the, oh. Whose water is this? I don't know. We went into some back door at the Warriors, what do you call it, stadium? Yeah. It was a VIP place. Like, how did he know that door was there? How did we even get in here? Without paying. We did. Oh, next. Okay, the pepper grinder thing. One time, so yeah, in the pants, but one time we were up Northern California, we went to this fun restaurant, very nice restaurant. And this time, he took the pepper grinder from the table, and as we were walking out, he says to the bartender, "Thanks for the pepper grinder," and we walked out with it. Okay. A few years back, I wrote a journal entry, and I shortened it and did a little editing for today. Love is not a linear experience. It has no form. It dips into ever-refreshing waters that flow from who knows where. It takes us down paths to secret places for moments of pure pleasure. It drags us into caverns of despair and desolation, feeling we'll never rise. But then we do, as love expands and we hope and trust and live again. Love intertwines our experiences for months, years, even decades. But love is not constrained. It's too expansive. It prevails beyond time, elevating us to share, reach out to touch, finding each other in this divine. Knowing each other for eternity, knowing each other for eternity, where there is no time. Love is timeless. Like quantum entanglement, once connected with PK, always connected. To know Patrick Kosta is to love beyond this physical world, beyond time. Loving Patrick is timeless. He was the love of my life.
Susan is going to be doing a quantum entanglement seminar after this. We're going to talk about Schrodinger's cat and some of those other things. Amongst the many things that PK had, he had balls. He had a lot of golf balls. There's a whole basket of them up front there, so you are invited to take a couple golf balls home with you. Some of the range balls he clearly stole from every place that had a pepper grinder. Get your golf balls on your way out. Also, after everybody has had their time here today and signed the book and everybody has enjoyed, I believe we have pulled pork sliders that Dan's brought. What did you bring there? Michael, what do you got? I don't know, some food. Everybody is invited to go to the 440 Club, and that is on College Avenue. It is not at 440 College Avenue, which is weird. I don't know why it's called the 440. Somebody can clue me in on that. All right, we have two more speakers, and then if anybody else has things to say, they'd like to come up and share a moment about PK, we will be doing that, and then we will have our closing thoughts. This time, I'd like to bring up PK's Padawan, his subordinate, who became a coach in his own right. We had some good times together. Please put your hands together for Coach Mark Martin. Take your time, Mark. Have a ball.
I don't know if Coach is I retired from coaching a while ago, but I'll take it. You know, Pat was actually responsible for the beginning of my coaching career. I'll get to that in a moment. I think I kind of labored over these, you know, kind of writing and rewriting what I was going to say today, and I'm going to go ahead and just scrap that and maybe refer to it a little bit, but just kind of go off the cuff here. You know, first and foremost, Pat was a force of nature. I think all of us who know him know that. He left an indelible mark on anybody whose path he crossed. Even if people who met him once and didn't know his name, it was like, what was that guy's name? Like, what that dude? Yeah, that dude. You know, like, and everybody knew what you were talking about. But you know, for me, Pat, as has been kind of said already, and PT kind of outlined, you know, he wore many hats. You know, friend, coach, teammate, comedian, philosopher. You know, for me, he started out as a coach. He became a mentor and a best friend, amongst other things, of course. But most of all, Pat was family. I was fortunate enough, you know, Pat would show up at my mom and dad's house, and he got hugs from my parents. You know, I was always welcome anywhere. He was living at, you know, at Tom's house, you know, living at Michael's house, various places he occupied over the years. Michael's business, which is where I believe I finished my 21st birthday with my head hanging out at the sliding glass door, but that's another story. But I also, you know, was always made to feel part of his family. I reminded Julia, who I haven't seen in many, many years, said hi to her today, reminded her that I knew her when she was 2, about this tall. You've grown a little bit. You know, last summer, or maybe it was 2 summers ago, I obviously met, you know, Charlie a few times over the years while he was growing up, but got to play a little horse with Pat and Charlie, and reminded him, you know, that my JUCO points per game average was higher than his, but I think I lost the horse game, but that's fine. But anyway, but you know, we always integrated our lives. We always checked in. We were always close. I know he was close with many of his players, and I'm probably not the only one who thinks, yeah, but I was the closest with him. He probably made almost all you guys who played for him feel that way, and that was the kind of guy he was. But I did have a very special relationship with Pat, and you know, kind of going through these notes, there's you know, there's some funny stuff. I'm going to scrap most of it, mostly because, particularly, you know, I had written a lot about what an amazing coach Pat was, and what a basketball savant he was, and he truly was. He truly was. I remember, and this will probably only resonate with the core basketball people in here, but we're sitting, listening to a game on the radio, listening to a Warriors game. This is probably like 94. And we're talking about whatever we're talking about, probably, you know, whatever. And he goes, Nelson's going to get Nelly's going to get a defensive, or Nelly's going to get an illegal defense right here. And I'm like, what? And this is on the radio. 5 seconds later, beep, legal defense, you know, Dallas Mavs or whatever it was. And I was just like, to this day, I don't know how he pegged up. You know, it's just like, this guy, like, it's crazy. But, you know, part of that, and I'll come back to that a little bit later, was, you know, he really connected with his players. You know, what Coach said about him being a celebrity, that was absolutely true. That was my first impression of him, was being a 7th grader at Coach's Newman camp and just going, like, this guy is just force of nature. You know, it was crazy. You know, he just had an electric nature to him that was infectious. Sorry, I'm catching up on my notes here. So, one thing I did want to kind of go through, you know, there was a lot of firsts with Pat. I had a lot of firsts, and you know, when I was putting this together, I think what I ended up was I'm quite sure I hit on all the right things because everybody else has been talking about them before I got to them. But I kind of had the wrong tone, and that's why I'm kind of off in the cuff here. But I want to clear up a mystery for you, Coach. You mentioned not understanding how he was able to get into gyms. I know. My little thing I wrote here was, Pat was responsible for a lot of, or shared a lot of firsts with me. He was the first person to teach me the finer points of being a gym rat, which basically consisted of the ability to illegally trespass in any gym. The trick, he told me, was to find the door to the gym that seemed the least used, count on the cleaning staff to be lazy, and leave a small pebble on the ground in the door so that the door wouldn't shut completely. Then you could come back later, go in that door, you have the gym to yourself. So there you go, Coach. Mystery solved. He got me my first coaching job, which was really in typical true Pat form. I'm working overnights because I was under the impression when you got a college degree, they just handed you a job when you got home at the airport. It turned out not to be the case. So I was working overnights for my mom at the 24-hour health club, Katati, and Pat applied me for a job without asking me. And that's how my coaching career began at Monterey Peninsula College. I'm not sure if this is related. He also had a roof that he needed to fill to rent, and so it was a win-win for everybody. I got a job. He got a tenant. Again, hitting the right notes here. He was the first person to introduce me to the music of his much-beloved Sly and the Family Stone, a lifelong love affair that I will share with him forever. Que Sera Sera was the song that I danced with my mom at my wedding, which, and that's literally a direct lineage of Pat's influence in my life. He was responsible for my first trip to Tahoe, my first trip to the track, also lifelong fascinations of regrettable degrees, possibly. He showed me the movie Let It Ride for the first time, and I probably know the 6 or 9 of you in the crowd are going to get all these references. But actually, my last conversation with Pat was a text conversation. And I was telling him that I had just gotten a puppy and that I had named the puppy Trotter, which is Jay Trotter is the main character. It's a Richard Dreyfuss movie, the main character in Let It Ride. So what I got regaled with was a series of text messages that were Let It Ride quotes, puppy themed. So I believe I won't list them all, but I think it was you might be walking around puppy and not even know it. Hey Trotter, because my puppy's named Trotter. Hey Trotter, have some nice puppy formula. And my personal favorite, he pissed it all the way on your floor. That was so. That was my last conversation with Pat. More on getting back to our shared passion, our craft of basketball, and real quick before I get into the kind of story, Coach said it more eloquently than I ever could. But Pat was really next level. But he was the first coach I ever saw pull the second half wrong way trick, which was where you come out, line up at the wrong end to trick. This probably only works on 9th graders, but to trick and then they all just come out and very trusting of us Catholic schoolboys here at Newman, and then you hand it to your point guard and you run and make a layup. If I remember correctly, I don't know if I saw Jock, but I saw Mr. Consigliere. Jock blew the layup the first time we did that. But we did it again, and that worked out. He was also the only coach. This was one he did. I can't remember if it was Pioneer or Monterey, but he got an extra timeout. He used to have the thing where he eats Skittles during the game. And he got an extra timeout, and it was well timed because it also stopped a fast break by accidentally banging the Skittles on his leg. He is out of timeouts, exploding Skittles on the ground, stopping the game, stopping the fast break. That was a true story. It's a Pat original. And also a topic we've already touched on. He was also responsible for helping me get my first fake ID, which afforded me the very unique, I believe I'm probably the only person in the world who can say this, but I, at 19 years old, successfully gained access to the aforementioned New George's, a bar owned by Pat Townsley, at 19 years old, while claiming to be a 32-year-old Pat Townsley.
I want my ID back, Mark.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Thank you for spelling it correctly.
Long ago seized by law enforcement at one point or another. As life and basketball have a way of doing, we kind of wandered our separate ways. Eventually, always circled back, but went our separate ways. And one of those times, which is another great story, was I was parlaying my minor modicum of success at junior college into a four-year scholarship at an AI school. I ended up going to school and shout out to Sioux City, Iowa. Hi, Ashley. I had verbally committed. This isn't like National Signing Day, right? Like we're not on TV. You kind of tell the coach, yeah, I'll do it, and then they hope you show up. So I had that kind of an agreement with the school I was going to in Sioux City, Iowa. And Pat had just got the assistant job under I know Coach McClintock's here somewhere. I don't know where he is, but the great Coach Bill McClintock was the head coach at Cal State Monterey Bay. And Pat was his assistant. And Pat called me and said, hey, would you think about coming and taking a visit at Cal State Monterey? And I kind of said, I'm kind of already committed, but, he said, well, hey, how about this? Me and Coach are coming up to Santa Rosa this weekend, and we'll just come pick you up and we'll go talk. I said, take you out to lunch or something. I said, okay, that's fine, whatever. Like, I'm probably committed, but, sure, why not? And so that basically turned into one of the funniest recruiting visits, of all time, especially for kind of a small-time guy like me. But basically, Coach McClintock and Pat picked me up at my house, took me to watch an entire day of horse races at the Sonoma County Fair, and in between numerous rounds of beers, just kept repeating variations of, you don't really want to live in Iowa, do you? Have you seen Monterey? Have you seen Sioux City, Iowa? Seriously, man, come on. And it was that for like a whole day. Yeah, so anyway. Let's see. So last, again, Pat was a great coach, and he was, he didn't have a mean bone in his body. He had numerous frustrating bones in his body, but he was never kind of, But one of the things, I have this picture here, and I'll show it to you here in a minute. But returning to the topic of kind of basketball and just who he was in my life, Pat was one of the first people to help me realize that I had a chance to be special, and not that I was special or that I was entitled to a special experience or that I was great, just to instill in me that if I put in the work, I had a spark in me. And I'm sure that I'm not the only one in this crowd who may feel that way. That I had a spark that if I fed it enough and did the right things, that I could make something out of it. And our shared craft was basketball. And like I said, he was truly a basketball savant. And, and as Coach touched on, he taught life through basketball. And so I'm trying to kind of find my notes, but I'll just go off the cuff. Beyond this being a picture of a remarkably fundamental and excellent jump shot, it's hard to see, but one of the things about Pat was he was kind of your coach for life if he coached you, right? And this is me as a junior. Again, jump shot, to be honest. And nobody, I think, some of these guys up here are probably the only ones who know, but this blurred out guy who's, in the back, that was Pat. Because Pat would come to our varsity games, and he would coach us, and he would coach us hard. And he would coach, his guys went on to JV, and he would sit right there on that baseline, and he'd be talking me through games. Look at this, see that. Don't do this. And with that, why that's special to me, and why this picture's so special to me, is because that was Pat. Like, there was no monetary payoff for that. There was nothing in it for him other than just his love of the game and his love for his players. And he really loved his players. And he inspired his players. And he made you feel like you could do more than you thought you could do. Particularly in a conditioning level. I mean, that, like, really, right? Sean Lowry doing a 40-minute wall sit, that was special. But anyway, back to the point. I came across this photo kind of in my old stuff I was going through, and I decided to sign it for him and send it to him. And I sent it to him, and when he called me when he got it, and I could tell that he was kind of choked up, and it's probably the only time in our life that me and Pat kind of like shared a cry. But when he called me, he didn't even say hello. I answered, knew it was him, and he just read what I wrote. And what I wrote here was, I said, to Coach Kosta, you taught me what to love the game truly meant. For that, I am forever in your debt. With love and gratitude, Mark Martin. Because now I'm crying. I think that's the kind of, that kind of said it all, like what he meant in my life. Because, as a lot of us are aware, I'm looking up at some of my best friends in the world right there. I showed up, I was going to wear a suit. I got low-key shamed by PT for that whole idea, so I changed back to this shirt. And, I think it says a lot about Pat that, the guys who made this shirt possible, half of them are sitting up there right there. And those are all guys I call brothers for life, just like Pat. And I think that says everything about what Pat instilled in us. And, the last thing I'll leave off with is that, later on in life, we all face challenges. We all kind of go circuitous routes to where we want to go. And, and me and Pat talked a lot. Our talks went more from like good times we had to more, being fathers. Being, when my parents passed away, he was there for me. Talking about the kind of legacies we wanted to build. How much we loved our kids. How much, just different things we've done in our lives that we wish them better. And those talks always ended with just a hug and just a very meaningful. I think Dan spoke to this, was just I love you, brother. You're a brother for life, and you are, Pat. You're a brother for life. I love you. I'll miss you forever. But you're always. I think he's always going to be here, and we'll always hear that cackle in our head. And thank you guys for letting me speak, and I appreciate it.
Hey, Mark, before you go up into the bleachers and the nosebleeds, put that picture over here and let people take a look at it because it is a little dark. We have one more speaker, and then we will open it up to open mic. I'm going to put this right up here. This is my original copy that I turned PK onto, which changed his life. It's a movie called Let It Ride with Richard Dreyfuss. It's fantastic, and I would say, get it on Netflix or Amazon or whatever we do today to watch movies. This is a DVD, if anybody didn't know what that is. For you younger people, radio, anybody? Radio, this. We have one more speaker, then we'll invite Mark Martin up for another 45-minute speech. All right, we got one more basketball coach to go to. He was the assistant coach, he was coach, he was a friend to all of us. Please put your hands together for Coach Steve Azevedo.
Thank you. Am I loud enough? Yeah. Known Pat for a long time. And here's how insane our relationship was. We asked Pat to be my son's godfather. I know, Donna, right? And congratulations to my silver sister. Well, we started a basketball company together, Gym Rats, which is still, players still come up to me and remember Pat and myself and the work ethic that we put in, and the work ethic that we asked of them. And those that also coached or played for Pat might remember that wall over there. I think, where's Dion? It said the record was 45 minutes of wall sit, I think. This wall, right? That one, yeah. 45 minutes of wall sit. So, and that's the point that I wanted to make that I haven't heard, was as a coach, I never got a rebound. I never scored a basket. I never got an assist. But what Pat showed me, and many of us, is it was about preparation. It's about putting the work in over and over and over till it became instinctual. And that's why he was such a good coach. Because he had his players, and Tom knows this, and I'm sure the other coaches that he coached with knows this, that by the time you got the players that Pat coached, you did not have to go over the fundamentals over and over. It was taken care of. It was done. You could go into a lot more of the game. And plus, the other thing about Pat is he had great instincts for the game. He knew the timing of things. And that is something special that you don't see in too many coaches. You know, he knew when his players needed to take a rest. He knew when to console a player and say, hey, you're done, you go back in. Get off this bench and go in. He knew those things, and that's why his players loved him. You know, Susan talked about love. His players loved him. And that's the difference among many coaches today. You know, to have your players love you and have their back all the time is something that's going to get a player to give their maximum effort. I had a lot of talks with Pat. The other thing, we had our times. I have stories, like everyone here. We're going to hear a lot more. But the other side of Pat, where Pat had difficulties in life, is I was able to sit down with him, you know, and we could talk about it. You know, and he could relieve himself of the pressures that he had on himself. You know, and that was a special time. Because I'm not too sure he did that with a lot of people. You know? I'm sorry if I'm going to cry a little bit. I'm going to go to this next thing. By the way, Charlie, we still always go through the racing program and bet every Charlie horse. Those that know Pat know we did that. The other thing, did anybody ever play horse with Pat? Yeah. So you played horse with Pat. It was like this. I'm going to shoot it off the duct, hit the wire, and go in. And he'd do it. I remember that small gym we had over at Benicia Drive, where we would play off the side wall, hit the back wall, and you had to make it. You know, and that was always fun. I also had Pat actually live with us, you know, my daughter and my son, when he was coaching at Piner. And I remember getting up in the morning, and Pat would have the paper out. And be going through the paper, and those of you who know Pat, he'd be scratching stuff, scratching here, scratching this, scratching that. What are you doing? He goes, oh, I'm just doing this. And okay. And then he'd get to the coupon part, and he'd get out the scissors, and then we'd have coupons. because neither of us were making a whole lot of money then, but we'd have coupons. He went to the point where he got me a coupon purse. So I was like those little elderly ladies in the line at Safeway, and I'd have my little coupon purse out, and I'd be going here, 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 and they'd be going, hey, where'd you get that? Oh, my friend Pat cut it out this morning, he found it. Because we'd have like 3 papers, all the time. The 2 times a year, I always can count on seeing Pat, and that was up in Reno. One was March Madness, and the other one was the Breeders' Cup. Would always see Pat up there for those 2 events. Now, you didn't see Pat for very long. If you know Pat very well, he'd bust in, he'd bust a joke, he'd do this. Next thing you know, he's gone. He was like, he might show up, like you said, but then he was also a gone guy. I still remember when we were at house in Rona Park we had, and I think it was Georgetown and Villanova. And Pat was the only one in the room that had Villanova. And he was prancing up and down. Another time we're sitting in the Peppermill in the sports book, and he had Florida Gulf Coast at 900 to 1. And he's all of a sudden, and the whole place is quiet. And the only guy standing up is Pat going, I told ya, see, get on, cover, straight up, and they end up winning the game. But that was Pat all the time. The other thing that I'm going to finish with this is, what Pat had in him was something special that we could all give to each other, and that was love. He always had you, and he loved you for who you were, no matter who you were. And that was a huge gift that we get, was to be a service to others, and that's what Pat was most of the time. So thanks, PT.
We've got to do some suicides real quick. Go. Okay. Show of hands, anybody who would like to speak about PK before we jump in. I just want to see how many people we got. Hands up. Anybody? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, all right. We got to do that. Steve, I don't know if you remember because everything was kind of a haze. The very last karaoke show, PK and I were doing It's a Family Affair after what we called the TDA, the Tour de Appetizers. We would go from bar to bar to bar, 1 appetizer, 1 drink at each place, and then we ended up at the cantina. And that was their very last karaoke show that they ever did there. Again, we destroyed it. So thank you for that memory. Also a blurry thing, I apparently was best man at his wedding. So there you have it. And Julia was the flower child. There you have it. All right, so once again, hands up if you would like to speak. All right, we will start over here, and it would be helpful if everybody would kind of be mindful of time. We have 30 minutes. If you need a talking stick or a conch or the talking basketball, there it is. And what else do we have here? I brought my whistle. If you go too long, I'll give you a technical. And if you can introduce yourself when you come up, and just be mindful of time. We have about 30 minutes left in the gymnasium. And Michael, you're on.
I have a great honor of introducing our, Patrick's included, our 4th grade teacher, which says a lot about who Patrick was, but even though he didn't make it past the 4th grade. Well, that's right. This is Eileen Myers, Miss Myers to all of us. She is a wonderful lady.
Thank you very much. So all I wanted to say is sometimes in life you get the lottery and you win. And I won when I got to have Patrick in my room. It started by having all his brothers and everybody. And I just felt so very, very fortunate. And that's mostly all I wanted to say is having Patrick in my room was the beginning of it all. And I just felt very, very fortunate. Thank you.
Are there any family members who would speak before the Charlie, Julia, you good? Jordan, you good? Anybody from New Georgia's? Captain John, Renee? Renee, you want to come down? All right, we're going to go with Renee. New Georgia's was 5 years of PK's life. He was our doorman, and he would just tear into everybody. And it was just the quick-witted. brilliant stuff and very funny. Started off as our waitress and then became our head bartender or one of our bartenders. Please put your hands together for Renee Miller.
All right, this is not a New Georgia story. This is a Sausalito story. There were 3 boys that showed up in a little boat right outside of Salitos. Actually, it was Horizons, which was the trade. One was very drunk. 2 were pretty drunk. One was PK, and he came into the restaurant. Now, I'm fairly new at this restaurant and kind of shy. All of a sudden, my manager comes over and says, "Do you know those 3? The guys that just pulled up in the boat? And the guy that's out on the patio right now with the garbage can going, 'I'm in fuego!' as the garbage dumps upon him. Then he jumps off the deck into the boat, and the manager wants to talk to me. I was almost fired that day, but that was PK. Thank you very much."
Thank you, Renee. And you got anything, Ken? Backstage manager, our friend Rudy Kazudi over here. Rudy, a Santa Rosa guy. No, okay, we'll come back to you. All right, let's go around here. We're going to start over here. This guy's like Price is Right. Step on up, yes. Okay, we're going to get back to you, Rudy. We're going to go over here. Please introduce yourself, and you're on.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Collins, and graduated class 86 with Pat, with a few friends over here, Brian McGee, Jeff Smith, Bo Weir. I'm sure there's a few more in here. So, I thought long and hard. I mean, Dan asked me if I'd say some words, and of course, Pat and I were close, but like many of us, years go by and then you reconnect. And so, the thing that, once we graduated, growing up in Sonoma County, we had the horse races here, right? And it was like a 2-week stretch, and everybody knew everybody, and you'd go there every darn day. But if you went there early for the mule race, no one would be in the tunnels, and you could hear the echo. And there would be 2 voices you'd hear down there betting on Russell Bays, on Black Ruby, the mule, and it was Bo Weir and Pat Kosta hollering. And so I knew how to find them. I go, there's the far end. You get down there and get the tall beer. You sit there and he'd heckle, both of them would heckle Russell Bays if he didn't win. It was tremendous. So, my dad always tells me and my brothers that, we're only here for a visit. And in that time, hopefully you make a good impact on those around you. You treat people right. You leave a lasting imprint, and they can, look back and know that they can appreciate the time spent with you. And obviously, that was Pat for all of us here today, and many other people that are here, in person. But Pat made a difference in my life for sure. Obviously, a competitive, high energy guy. You can hear my voice, and I'll get to that in a second. But Bob Feely's got this going on. Pat have that going on. We're just not quiet people. I mean, and it could be taken the wrong way, but Sean Harris, it's just who we are. We're passionate. We wear it on our sleeve, and that was Pat. So, I went on my way in life. Pat went on his. I became a football coach career-wise, many junior colleges. I took a head job in Monterey County in the town of Salinas, and a couple years had gone by. We struggled to get the program going, and then one day I get a phone call, and it was Pat. And I had seen in the paper that he had been at Monterey Bay as the head basketball coach, and I was across county at Salinas at Hartnell College, and he was seeing my stories, and next thing you know, we reconnected. And then there was a time where I was in between some housing situations, and he and Tanya invited me to come stay, and Julia and Charlie were little kids, and they were living in a 4-door military community, tiny little backyard, small little unit, and I was really impressed by the fact that Pat, he would have his basketball teams over for dinner all the time. He treated every one of those kids like they were his child. I mean, he was a parent of a basketball coach. The team building and the team bonding things that he did, I was able to witness. And Pat had it tough because he was coaching a college that didn't have scholarship money. Little, if any, money, playing teams like Fresno State. And as a coach, you judge other coaches on winning, but not winning, just beating anybody, beating teams you're not supposed to beat. And Pat had a career of beating teams, or at least playing them tougher than anyone else with much less. And so I found a lot of respect and appreciation for how Pat went about his business, not only as a coach, but as a mentor and a father figure to all of those young men that he came in touch with. In addition to that, there were times, of course, we had our history here with horses. So one day I walk in and, I got the itch, so I went down to the Monterey County off-track betting, and I walk in the door to place a couple of wagers for the day, and I hear this loud roar in the back room. And I go, what's this back room here? And he goes, there's $2, and you can go into this room. It's a private, betting room. It's nice. I go, all right, $2. I go in there, and I see two old guys, and there's like 100 cubicles, individuals. So I start going through the rows, looking around, where's the sound coming from? I look, and there's papers everywhere. There's a couple empty beer cans and a big full one, and Pat's screaming at the little screen at his monitor. And I look, and he turns, he goes, Collins. I go, hey, what's up, buddy? He goes, got a $2.40 superfecta going on over here. And I look, and he was betting the harness races. And I go, you're betting the harnesses. What are you doing? So at the end of the day, I always called Pat. I go, you're a beauty. And he'd always say, you're a beauty. I came in today and I was going to refer to him as a beauty, and I figured people aren't going to take that ride, man. So I went through my phone and I started looking up, oh boy, I better have this right. I go, what's a beauty? Beauty. Calling someone a beaut means they're very attractive. Well, let's skip that one. Calling people a beaut, excellent or impressive, outstanding in some way, right? So when I say that about a friend, and there's a few beauties in this room as I look around, Daryl Vise, I see, Jeff, Brian McGee, and Bon Feely, you're a beauty. So it's a term of endearment, right? And so we would call each other, we'd see me, I'd see him, we'd call each other, you're a beauty, right? So with that being said, I did appreciate all those times that we had. And I was just with him 2 days before he passed. He texted me, Dan texted me. We met at the Dry Creek General Store and had a couple beers, catching up. I'm home visiting my dad, who's going to be 88, and he needs a little care. And so me and my brothers are always around to help. Pat was home doing the same thing. We were talking about retirement, and he told me a good story. He goes, I'm making $600 doing refereeing basketball in one day. It's great. I go, you do 6 games in one day? I go, how do you handle all the heckling coming from the crowd? He goes, oh, the other day? He goes, some guy was giving me, Pat, he's in between, he's peacocking it. He's firing up shots in between, he's got his stripes on, and he goes, he walked over to the guy, handled the ball, he goes, take a shot. And the guy throws one up in the air balls, and Pat goes over and goes, now you've got no credibility. So, in Pat's style, right? So, man. So I just want to end this on a more serious note. So Charlie and Julia, probably don't remember me. I was there when you guys were little, but I will say this. Your dad meant the world. You guys meant the world to your dad. He talks about you all the time. And if anything, live the rest of your lives knowing that when there are choices in life that you make, and you make good ones, always know that make the ones that make your dad proud of you. Okay? And thanks, Pat, for sharing your life with me and with all these folks here and everyone else. You're going to be dearly missed. Think about you often. God bless, my friend. Thank you.
All right, we have 20 minutes left, so we can keep our mind on the time. We're going to go on this side. We must come come up and up here, up high. Oh, you're going to go first. You two next. And let's see if we can kind of keep it around the 3-minute range so we can rebut in. Thank you. Introduce yourself. Take your clothes off and introduce yourself.
Tony Padilla in the crowd? Where's Tony Padilla? Raise your hand if you're here. He's not here because he's the one that robbed you guys at Fresno State. He's the ref that robbed you guys. Okay? Pat, which I've been seeing on TV, Pat's been living with me the last 2 years since you threw him out, Susan. Kidding, Susan. Pat's been staying with me. He's been staying in my back room, snoring like a commercial chainsaw. It's terrible. Pat used to wear this shirt. This was Gino Cotter. You saw it on. This was hanging in my garage, and I had to put it on. Gino actually reunited Pat and I 2010. I met Pat in the mid-'90s. I was playing basketball at Sonoma State University. I miss my time here at Sonoma. A special place, a lot of special people. Coming up here, bring back a lot of memories. I met Pat at the tail end of my stint here at Sonoma State doing a basketball camp. And I said, this guy's crazy. And he was nuts. He was taking charges with the kids. What's your number one job? What? To make Coach happy. Pat, I learned how to coach little kids watching Pat. You find out who a real coach is when you can take a 4 or 5-year-old, and I learned this from Pat. When you teach a kid, you use this with your grandkids or your kids or your coaching. When you teach a kid to catch, you put their hands over their face so they don't get a broken nose. Pat taught me that. Pat taught me how to coach little kids. I was a college coach for 18 years. I lost my job for probably being too much like Pat. That's a compliment. And I started coaching little kids, and I swear to you, the best youth coach I've ever seen in my life is Patrick Kosta. He's the best. You want your kids to learn how to play basketball and learn about life, you send them to Pat. There's nobody better. I love Pat like a brother, and I know a lot of you do too. Just a couple other stories, then I'll pass the mic. There's so many things I could say about Pat. But the most important thing, he used to talk about you, Mr. Bonfilli. He used to talk about you, Coach. He used to talk about Craig McMillan. He used to talk about Sonoma County basketball. So many others. Pat told me 6 months ago that he was driving up here to see his father, and he was recording their conversations. So whoever has access to Pat's phone, you make sure you keep those conversations, because he would record his conversations with his dad. Pat loved his father. He loved you, Michael. He loved both his brothers. He talked about Michael a lot. He talked about you, Rich. He loved you. Rich was ready. You're a good man. And he brought you and I together. But Pat brought a lot of people together. And I remember driving over the hill, Susan, to see you guys coming over to Watsonville from Fresno. And I stopped, and I said, where's Pat? And he said, he's in the backyard. So I had my boys with me, with 3 boys. I take them with me everywhere. Pat hauling up a tree, a chainsaw. He's sweating, blowing, and he's hauling a tree up the hill. And that was Pat. He was just a grinder. He worked hard. And, he wasn't political. He lived with his heart. And the last thing I got, and this is the real reason I came here today. We all saw how much Pat impacted all our lives. 2 things I got. Pat came into my life when I was rock bottom. Rock bottom. I was not coaching, doing what I love, and he was more than a friend to me. He was a real brother. But the last and most important thing, Pat's children. I don't think you really understand. Well, I heard a lot of people say it today, but I don't think you'll fully ever understand how much your dad loved you kids. My only regret is that you're not going to be able to spend the rest of your lives more time with your dad. Your dad loved you so much. Charlie, you're coming to UC Merced, right, Coach? And you know how I feel about you. I've shared it with you. Your dad loved you more than I've ever seen a man love his kid. I hope you know that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have about 15 minutes left. We need to keep it tight. We got two guys over here who want to come down. Where are you? Right here. Step up to the mic and introduce yourself.
My name is DeMar Walton. I played for Coach Kosta at CSUMB. It's been about 22 years, something like that. I'm from Bakersfield, California. When I got to CSUMB, Julie was maybe about this tall, and Charlie was somewhere here, maybe down here. Coach Kosta he was a lot of things. I know I don't got much time, but I was talking to one of my teammates outside. He came from like 4 hours away. The other guy came from down from Los Angeles. And I thought real quick, I hope one day when I pass away, that I have people coming from far places like this for me. For me, and for a lot of my teammates, Kosta and Miss Tanya was like a father and a mother to us, like a big brother and a big sister, like an aunt and uncle to us. Like the coach said, the football coach said, man, he had us all, not just him, Tanya too, had us all in the house. We had two teams, and that, I don't know how many guys we had on the team, about both teams, maybe at least 30, 35 people, and it was all in the house. I mean, and like Coach said, it's a small little place, and it somehow made everybody food, everybody drinks, everybody feel like they were so welcome. And like everybody said, like how he was able to work with like smaller people and make them feel like the love, to make them feel like they was welcome. He made us all feel like that. And yeah, everybody know Kosta's a funny guy. He too funny sometimes, you know, and it's just like it's kind of annoying. But everyone, you're okay with him doing it, and you're okay with him still being around you while he's being like that. You know? And Coach said it, and everybody else said it. It was like because he loves you, like he loved, like he really did love you. Like if you didn't really have nobody who ever love you in your life, and I'm sure a lot of our players, some of our players didn't have a lot of love coming up. Like that's one guy you can count on that. If you didn't know what he was doing, you knew it was like a good thing inside of you. Like if you didn't know what love was, you could feel something that was different that you hadn't felt before come from him. So we go. Two more things I want to say. We go to see Juice play. I think in February. I think it's in February. So it's me, it's Joe, it's Houston, it's Mr. Brown. That's it. I think that was it. We all got kids now too. So we go and we keep Kosta doing this thing. Kind of not really coaching Juice from the stands, but you know he coaching us. Like, man, Juice should be doing this, and Juice should be doing this, and Juice was balling. Juice was playing good, and we was like, Juice doing well, very well, well. And then, so then we all leave. We take a picture. The picture's up. It just showed up on there. We take a picture. So then we get some text messages from Coach Kosta. We all on a group text like, they end up losing like a close game. We thought Juice should have kind of took over the game more because the person who do most of the scoring wasn't really scoring. So Kosta, he texted him, and I mean, I said exactly right, but he was like, "How did Juice play?" So then a couple people like put some text messages. He was like, "Yeah, all you guys sound like good things, but how come none of y'all didn't tell Juice to get down in the deeper stance?" And you know, I was like, man, it was like that was Kosta. He was a good guy. He was a good guy, and through all these years, 26 22nd, 22 years, 23 years, he still messages us. He messaged me, and I'm sure he messaged the whole group and a few other guys. So that was February. The tournament is the next month. So, if you guys ever have a chance to, if you feel like a nudge to go spend some time with that person, whoever the person might be, it might be like, why he text me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't heard from this person in a long time. Why? If you feel a nudge to go and spend some time, you should do it. Because it's like this exact moment. So, that's it, thank you very much. In March, he texts us. I'm sure somebody else got to text us. I'll be at the Pepper Mill. Drinks on me if y'all make it. Because he didn't go, I don't think he went to go to Vegas or to Reno to watch this past tournament. But he was like, tournament time, Pepper Mill, drinks on me. And, we all got our lives to live, and we all got our day-to-day things that we got to go through. But I did feel like I should make time to go. And that's one thing I kind of regret, was not going, because, nobody saw this coming. I'm so grateful that I was able to go to the game, but like my guys from CSU and me to see Juice play. Juice, man, I love you, they love you. We are like a big family. Like, we're not going nowhere. Julia, like I said, he was this tall, picture show it. I know for myself, these guys from CSU and me, they got plenty of stories about Kosta, but from Kosta showing love and Miss Tanya showing love during that time of our lives, I think, and I know for sure it helped me, but I think it helped a lot of these guys and us stay together because of the family unit that in that moment, at that time, that Kosta and Miss Tanya was showing to us. So for my brothers at CSU and me, well, y'all know I love y'all, and y'all know I'm always be here for y'all, and I hope that, we can do that for each other, and also Juice and Julia. You may not know this, but like these guys, and I told Coach Kosta, like, we'll go to war for y'all. Like, plain and simple. So, thank you guys. I'm glad I was able to make it.
My name is Roger Jones. I did basketball Jones games with Pat Kosta for years and years and years, and he was just one of those kind of random mentor figures that popped up. I didn't know him until I was already older and playing college basketball, but he showed up to camp. He was friends with Gino. He wasn't even working that week. This was in Watsonville, and he came through. He was telling all these funny stories. He talked about the skills and getting the free time out. And I was just fascinated, like, who is this man? What is going on here? And I just, he had a magnetic sort of thing. I just wanted to tell one funny story. We, after camp, most weeks on Thursday night, that's coach's night. We go out, find a place to get some food and some drinks, and then battle through Friday, hungover to finish up camp strong. And we're doing San Jose camp one year, and he's all hyped up on some bar he wanted to go to. I don't remember the name of it, but there was a long line, like ridiculously long line to get into the bar. So he gets the idea, he gets literally down on the ground and he army crawls to the front of the line. And the bouncer, the guys at the door, just immediately like, you're out, bro. Like, you can't come in. Anybody you're with, you're all out. Like, whatever. And he was like trying to make his case. So we ended up going to find another bar, just a little quiet one, like not many people in there. And we kind of take a table at the back, and we're there for a couple minutes. And then we look up, and Kosta is at the front door checking IDs. Like, people are coming into the bar, and he's pretending that he works there. He's like, yeah, let me see. And he's holding it up to the light and stuff. And you're good. Just for no reason. And even like the regulars, the people who usually cover that bar, like, they're checking IDs at the door. Like, he's like, yeah, new policy. And he's just, and he's performing for us. We're in the corner in the back, just roaring with laughter. And he knows he's just got to play it to us. The people who actually work at the bar didn't even realize he was doing it. And I was just thinking about those stories. I mean, how he's getting into these gyms and stuff like that. Like, I think Kosta, if he really wanted to, could talk his way like past the Secret Service into the Oval Office. And it's just great hearing all these funny stories that just line up perfectly with the guy that I knew, and hearing it from people who have known him for decades and decades and decades. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, we got time for a couple more, then we need to wrap it up here. So, show of hands. How many more people do we want to speak here? Rudy, did you want to come down? Come on down, Rudy, introduce yourself. And you have 30 seconds. And we'll bring Mark Martin up. He'll go till midnight. Bonfire will come up. The Bonfather. Rudy's going to take 30 minutes getting down here. Yeah.
30 seconds. It'll be a record. My name is Rudy, otherwise known as Rudy Kazuti. He started it, and then PK was the ultimate backup. It's no accident that PK and PT are Pat. They are, as he put it, basically two sides of the same coin. One is more than enough, you put them together, and we all know he's a force to be reckoned with, or not, because good luck with that. But PK took whatever situation and made it rock. I got to know him through New Georges when PT and PK basically combined forces, and New Georges and both of them were never the same. And neither was I. Didn't get to know PK anywhere near as much as I know him because of all of you today. Had no idea. 90% at least, I had no idea. But what I did know, and this is what I always try to remember, is it's not what people do. It's not what they drive. It's how do they make you feel. You remember that. I've never forgotten that, and PK made sure I never forgot that. Ran into him the last time I saw him was September of last year. Renee and another lady over here were hanging out at the back of Pat's restaurant. And PK and Renee were just reminiscing, and the level of energy was just off the charts, and they were having, it was like just amazing to witness that. And there was a moment though where I'm standing next to PK at this event, and suddenly he looks at me, Rudy, like, yeah, it's like, I didn't know that was you. Oh my God, it's you. And I'm like, thank you, PK. And he just launched, and so it was quality over quantity with that gentleman, and he always made sure he recognized me, and this last time I saw him was a perfect example of what I think everyone can cherish. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. Well said. A couple more, any more? Two more? One more? Anyone? Right here. Sean Harris.
Sean Harris, been friends with Pat for quite a while. We coached a couple teams in the area for a while. These stories, I have tons of them, and they're obviously great to hear. But I just want to make something real quick and fast that Pat is in the 5 percentile of any situation you could get in that would be a -1. 95% of the people would run, and Pat would be the guy having your back. right on the side, looking at you, confronting the issue. He's the most loyal person I've ever met. I've explained to his brother Michael numerous times of a couple of situations that Patrick has done for me personally. And I just want everybody to know he was a great joker, humorous, and everything. I loved him, and he's done things for me that I will never, ever forget. And I'll never forget him. One other thing, I was texting Pat all the way up until the day before he passed. And he would always, him and I were kind of on an off path, and we were getting back together, and I said, in time. And he quotes Freddie Mercury. He says, time waits for no one. And it didn't. So keep that in mind. If you got anybody you want to patch up with, it's time to do it and make it happen. I love you, Pat. Rest in peace.
Thank you, Sean. Any final comments here? Yeah, come on down. Any one more after that, and then we're going to have to wrap it up here. All right, this will be the last one, then we'll have a closing moment. Come on down, introduce yourself. Thank you. Okay, there's another PA outside, and then we'll continue the rant after we close this down inside. Thank you. Introduce yourself, please.
I'm Bobby Hernandez, and I also coach with Pat, the Basketball Jones crew. And just a couple things. I'm going to just touch on 3 points, maybe 4, but they're going to be quick. How Coach said about the little ones. He was very big with the mentoring the kids. And on behalf of my son, he started with Coach Pat, and the future starts at 5. And the one thing that I remember on Friday, we used to always do something fun. And he was trying to figure it out. And he was like, what can we do? So it's charge day. And we talked about it. So he, Thursday, told all the parents, we're going to do shorts and swim trunks and stuff, so bring stuff. And we were trying to figure out what's he going to do. So he came up with a pool, and I'm pretty sure it was in those, in the slides here. With the pool, and then he'd fill it up with water. He had the kids get in their board shorts, and they do charge drills. So he would start with the ball. The kids would be right here in the pool. Then he'd just come and just push them in. So it was something small, but something for them to remember and take on. And it was how to learn how to take a charge. So that was something that was very unique, and that's very fun that I'm always going to keep, in my mind, my heart. I'm pretty sure my son's going to remember that forever as well. But the other one too is that we were in the gym. He asked me personally, he said, "Come out and watch Noah." I said, okay. So he had him doing, I heard about the wall sits. He was doing dribbling drills. And, he wants, it's like that one commercial where this kid's doing doing crab crawl across the football field. And he's just having him dribble. And he's just like an army sergeant, just telling him, you can stop, don't stop, just keep going, get lower, get lower. That's the things that I know that I'm pretty sure my son's going to take, and remember those things with Coach Pat. And then, it's just knowing him as an individual outside of basketball. I was at my lowest point, rock bottom in my life at one point in time, and him and Susan opened up their house for me. Just come in and just restart and get things, get my bearings straight, and come in and try to figure some things out. But he would always check on me. We would always go to the golf course. He would take his 3 irons, a whole bunch of balls, and he wants to start betting on, on the putting range. So it's one of those things that I kind of grasped, a good relationship with him, and I'm always going to remember him. He's just an individual that I will always know that, like you guys all said, he's got funny jokes. He's very, laughable, but he takes heart. And the one thing I always remember him, and I was talking to my buddy Daryl about on the way over here. He would always say, "I love you, brother. I love you." And that's just to the friends, to the basketball community, to the relatives and the close friends that he always knew. So he was a great friend for me, and I know for others. And that's just one of the, just share those moments with you guys. So appreciate it. Thank you. Last but not least, I'm sorry. I don't know if this is one thing. He sent me a video, but he sent me a video when he was coaching at Monte Vista Christian. So no, his team's playing. There's a turnover. And he says, pass the whiteboard the ball. That's him. So let me see if it'll play.
Here we go. I'm open. Get the whiteboard in the corner of the ball. Oh, I got these. Shit, I was fouled.
So he airballed, but it was a turnover. He was at the end of his coach. He got the ball. He shot an airball, and he said, oh, I was fouled. So those are the type of things that Coach Pat would do and like send to me. So I just wanted to share that with you guys as well. Thank you.
A voice from above. So we can all close our eyes and see Patrick. You'd have a t-shirt on, you have another shirt on over that. Kind of have that duck back and kind of gravity pulling him forward. You have a racing form in his back pocket. And off you go. So you will see him again. And you'll see him in other people. And remember him fondly because I'll never forget him. To the brothers, love you guys. I'll be here for you. Donna, Tom, God bless you. Jordan, thank you for all you brought to us that recently we haven't connected, and let's continue our friendship. Charlie and Julie Rose, Big Juicy. If you ever need anything, reach out. We'll be here for you. Jill, thank you for your love. Eileen, our sister, thank you for being here today. Susan, thank you. Thank you all for being here. There will be refreshments outside. You are all invited to join the family and friends at the 440 Club after the reception out front. Life is short. Be quick to love. Be faster to forgive. Thoughts become things. Choose the good ones. On behalf of the Kosta family, thank you for being here, and thank you for being a friend of Patrick. Good night.
I got to be me. You'll never be without. That was all about. Can't take me far, ready to smile. Yeah, but please don't forget me about home. I'll be gone for a while. When you see me again, I'll let you down. Yeah, the person that you really are now. You got the good girl straight. How could I ever leave? When you're a woman taking up my time. How could you ever allow? I could wonder how. Yes, I know I get so funny. When you know that you never do. Now, one don't love me down by one. It's a message I want to do when you shape me again. I wish I could get the message over to you now.